Prabhu Nishani Mataji. So we have His Holiness Bhakti Prabha Swami Maharaj with us. Please accept our humble obeisances, Maharaj, and all glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to your services, Maharaj. Are you ready, Maharaj?
Hi.
Would you like to?
I'm very happy to be with you this evening. It's some time ago. I miss you all in South London. Today I would like to speak on Srila Prabhupada and tell about certain pastimes of Srila Prabhupada that Omajnana Timrandasya Jnanasada Sadakya Saksuran Miritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vistaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamiti Namani Namaste Saraswata Devi Gauravani Pacharini Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paskachai Desatarani. I will first read a verse from the Bhagavad Gita from the 2nd chapter, text 71. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vihaya Kamanya Sarvan Pumsashati Nishpriya Nirmamo Nirhankara Sasamtim Adhigacchati. A person who has given up all desires for sense gratification, who lives free from desires, who has given up all sense of proprietorship and is devoid of false ego, he alone can attain real peace. So this verse indicates that we can only attain real peace, inner peace in our life, if we give up desires for sense gratification. That if we give up our attachment to things in this world for sense gratification. I read the first lines of the purport of Srila Prabhupada, which are very meaningful. To become desireless means not to desire anything for sense gratification. In other words, desire for becoming Krishna conscious is actually desirelessness. To understand one's actual position as eternal servitor of Krishna without falsely claiming this material body to be oneself, and without claiming proprietorship over anything in this world, is the perfect stage of Krishna consciousness. So not falsely claiming proprietorship in this world. We think these things are ours, this is mine, but it's only an idea in the mind. Nothing is in reality ours. We are here only for some time. And during that time we may have the pretense or the arrogance to say this is mine, but soon we have to leave. But if we think ourselves the proprietor, what happens? Will we feel happy? I hear a story. It is from Atma Tattva Prabhu, for the disciple of Prabhupada. And he was there with Srila Prabhupada during this pastime. And he told us about a rich man who came to see Srila Prabhupada, an industrialist. And he said to Prabhupada, I have a factory in Delhi, a factory in Jaipur, and he listed all his possessions, all the factories he had. And then he added, I have all of this, he said, but I can't sleep at night. That I can't sleep at night. So Srila Prabhupada replied, you can't sleep because you have so many things. Give them to me and you can sleep peacefully. And Srila Prabhupada turned to his secretary and said, take his address. But the man then replied, no, Swamiji, I can come anytime. But then Prabhupada replied, we should also be able to come to you anytime. And he said again to his secretary, take his address. And then he said to the businessman, if you give some of your things to Krishna, then you will be peaceful. The man was smashed and he gave his address. So we see here Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada is in the mood of Lord Vamandev. Vamandev, he took everything away from Bali Maharaj. He took away, because Bali Maharaj had conquered practically the whole universe, but he took it all away. He took away his prestige. He was cursed by his guru, Bali Maharaj. He was bound with the ropes of Varuna. He lost everything. And here Srila Prabhupada exhibited the same mood by dealing with this businessman. He said, you just give everything to Krishna and you will be peaceful. So, this sense of proprietorship makes us unhappy. Because we think this is mine, because this is for my enjoyment. But these are two mistakes we make, which are the basic construction of our false ego. We identify with a temporary body, but we are an eternal soul, an eternal spirit soul. We have nothing to do with this world. So, this is called false ego. False ego means forgetting who we really are. And forgetting our original consciousness. That we have now a perverted consciousness. That we have perverted consciousness. How did we get it? First, by forgetting Krishna. Krishna is the source of everything. He is a controller of everything. But we forgot Krishna. And by forgetting Krishna, we forgot who we are. We forgot our own position as a servant of Krishna, an eternal servant of Krishna. So we stopped identifying as a spirit soul. We started to identify ourselves with the body, the mind, and the intelligence, the subtle body. And that's called false ego. What is the sign that you are identified with the body and not your real self? The sign of that is that you have developed attachment and aversion for things in this world. Attachment and aversion, raga and dvesha. Because if you forget Krishna, that's called moha. Then you forget yourself. And then you start to identify with the body and the mind. Can the mind give you satisfaction? No, it will never make you happy. The activities of the mind will not make you happy. Will your intelligence make you happy? All the intellectual activities, will that give you happiness? Or the activities of the body, will that give you happiness? No. It may give temporary satiation, but no satisfaction. What gives us happiness and satisfaction is the experience of our real self. And what does the spirit soul want? It wants love. Give love and be loved. That's what we want. But that experience you don't get by identifying with things in this world. Because to experience that, we must remember our relationship with Krishna. Because love means loving the beloved, do everything for the beloved. And only when you give, when you serve to please the beloved, that's the beginning of love. And the beloved is Krishna. And Krishna means everything. Because everything comes from Krishna. When you love Krishna, you love also all living entities, because Krishna is in their heart. But because of this identification with the body, we have developed a false I and mine. That everything, this is mine. But it gives me so much anxiety. The businessman could not sleep. All these factories, so many problems, so many issues to deal with. He could not sleep. But if you do it for Krishna, if you give it to Krishna and do it for Krishna, then it becomes different. One becomes like an employee in the bank. When he receives money, he put it on the bank account, and he's not happy of receiving money. It's from the bank. And when he spends money, when he has to pay someone at the counter, he does not lament. It's from the bank. He's not attached. A Krishna conscious person is not attached. He does things for the pleasure of Krishna, not for himself, and success or failure is for Krishna. But the businessman was not Krishna conscious. He said, this is my factory in Delhi and this is my factory in Jaipur. His and I and mine. That's the problem. Nothing is ours in this world. We can think it for the moment, because we think I and mine for my enjoyment. So this is called material desire. And previously, in 256, Krishna said that 255. You say, Pratayati atakamam sarva partamanogatam. When one gives up all these desires for sense gratification, Krishna says, then the mind becomes purified. Because these desires, these material desires, equals manogatan. Manogatan means an invention of the mind. That, like someone dreams, it's a devotee dreams, in his dream he prepares sweet rice for Gaurnitai, then offers the sweet rice in his mind, in his dream, and then in his dream is eating the sweet rice. The experience of eating the sweet rice in a dream, of eating the sweet rice with the senses when you are awake, is exactly the same. Completely the same. It's an experience of the mind. And Krishna says it's a concoction of the mind. I'm going to enjoy, but yes, it's just that we have become servants of this body. The body is hungry and we have to give it food. We become godas, servant of the body. Servant of your material desires you become. Not the end the body vanquishes, it's all for nothing. So that is a lesson to learn. But instead of thinking I and mine, we should think this belongs to Krishna. And therefore I have to use it in his service. I should not think it's mine, I use it in his service. I do my job, I do it for Krishna, therefore it must be perfect. I'm not doing it for my salary, that is secondary. And if I get the salary, I use that also in the service of Krishna. I cook food and so on, and I offer it to Krishna. And I do my work, when I get my salary, I have to pay my mortgage for my house, but my house has become a temple. I installed a deity, and it's a temple, so it's for maintaining the temple now, and it's for I have money for my family. So, but my family, they are chanting Hare Krishna, they are devotees, so it's for maintaining devotees. It's a different consciousness, changing our consciousness. But here, Srila Prabhupada said to the industrialist, he could see that he was too attached to all these factories. And he said, just give it to me, and we take the burden from you. It's a great mercy. We think that all these possessions are going to make us happy. As long as we strive to give happiness to the body and the mind in this world, then that's the... If you try to be happy in that way, Prahlad Maharaj said, that's the beginning of your unhappiness. Srila Prabhupada said many times, there is no pleasure in this world. It's only the temporary pleasure of sense gratification. But real pleasure is the pleasure of the soul. It's a feeling of love, ecstasy. And that spiritual ecstasy is there in the soul. It is there. And it cannot be taken away. We are inherently full of bliss inside, but it's covered now by this false ego. That all this I and mine causes anxiety, and it enforces, it makes deeper our identification with the body. And the more we identify with the body, and especially with the mind, the more we suffer. The greater the suffering. So the suffering ends in the greatest suffering. And the greatest suffering is, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. But we don't die. We leave the body. The soul does not take birth, does not die, Krishna says. And the body takes birth and has to die. Nobody can save it. So this is a very important to understand this philosophical background. And then we understand our contamination in our heart. Contamination is this I and mine, and that tendency to exploit this world. So that exploitation of this world, so Lord Krishna speaks about that in the 15th chapter, 15:7. He says, Mamaisvam Shosh Velokit Shiva Bhuta Sanatna. All living entities, all spirit souls who are conditioned in this world are my part and parcels. Our spirit soul is a part of Krishna, a minor part. But we are conditioned, he says, and that conditioning happens by this I and mine. And therefore they are struggling very hard with the six senses and the mind and the body. And we think that's who I am. But to purify us from this conception is not an easy thing. We need to hear about Krishna and serve the spiritual master who tells us what pleases Krishna. Krishna tells us also in Bhagavad Gita and the scriptures what pleases him. And the spiritual master repeats that. So if we follow Krishna's instructions in Bhagavad Gita and organize our life, that we do everything as a sacrifice for him. Yat karos, yat asyas, yat dos, yat yat tapasyasi kantya. That goes from mat arpanam. Krishna said, mat arpanam, do everything as a sacrifice for me. Whatever you do, do it for me with love. Patram pushpam phalam tyam yome bhaktya prayachati. Whatever you offer to me, do it with love. Offer you food to me. 3:13. Others you hate sin. If you follow all these instructions nicely, then our heart will become purified. And we will healthy remember that we are not this body, a spirit soul, and that our business is to live in harmony with God. Harmony in God with God means that we recognize Krishna is the source of everything, the controller of everything, and the proprietor of everything, and he's our best friend. And then in that mode, if we cultivate this knowledge about who Krishna is, then we can understand who we are, his servant. Then we can understand our relationship that we serve him with devotion. And when we engage in that in that activity of the soul, devotional service, we will quickly become purified and regain our inherent spiritual happiness. So, thank you very much. If there are any questions, please.
Thank you so much, Maharaj, for your valuable time and association this evening. Devotees, if you have any questions, comments, reflections, please unmute yourself, or either you can type in the chat box and I can read it out for you. Thank you. So we have 5 minutes, still 5 minutes, so we can, Maharaj can maybe take a few questions.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Mother
I hope you are well,
Vishali.
Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Maharaj, your class was wonderful. And about collecting, how you said about Prabhupada asking um, the men who came to see him, and the way Prabhupada replied in the mood of Ramandev, it was really good to see that this is all temporary and it's all going to go anyway. Whatever we have built the empire, like even the Great Britain, the empire has crumbled up. So in that manner, everything is temporary. And only thing permanent is the relationship with the Lord and how we have to build our relationship. Thank you, Maharaj.
Yeah, thank you for your comment. But what I could add is that, like Srila Prabhupada was very special, we see here the mood of Vamandev. But I was just writing my offering to Srila Prabhupada. And I write in my offering that he also exhibited the mood of Madan Mohan. Madan Mohan means the supreme enchanter, one who can even enchant Cupid. So that means Madan Mohan was very attractive, most attractive. Therefore, is also considered as the Sambandha Gyan deity in Vrindavan. He attracts everyone. And Srila Prabhupada also did that. This is a lecture in Atlanta, March 2, 1975. And there Srila Prabhupada said, one Christian priest in Boston, a Christian priest that came to Prabhupada, he was astonished by seeing our devotees. He issued one leaflet and said, these boys are our boys. But before this movement, they did not care to see us or come to the church. And now they are mad after God. So Srila Prabhupada said, this is a certificate of a Christian priest, he said. So before Srila Prabhupada's arrival in Boston in 1965, many yogis already came to preach in America. But despite their preaching of Bhagavad Gita, they were not able to make even one devotee of Lord Krishna. Not one. But Srila Prabhupada attracted thousands and could turn them in sincere devotees of Krishna. That means he had some of these powers of Madan Mohan. He could give everyone this param dristvani vartate, an experience of higher taste. And I think that makes also Srila Prabhupada so special. Hare Krishna, thank you for your comment. Thank you, everyone. And I'm looking forward, if Krishna willing, to see you in 2 weeks from now. Hare Krishna.
Haribo. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Haribo.
Thank you.